Any questions for
Yeah.
Christina?
I just have one. I'm sure you're aware of this, but because it's such a serious matter that I just want to mention it and make sure that when it is used on Lake 14 to remove invasive species, right?
Correct,
That
yep.
it be thoroughly cleaned or pure when it comes back here?
So we do have 2 harvesters, one of which is primarily used on Nut Lake, and then the other one is only used for off-reservation
Okay.
contract lake work.
Oh.
However, we do have a hot water pressure sprayer that will be used to clean the equipment and kill any invasive species.
But otherwise, you don't use it on the lake?
Correct.
On Net
Yep.
Lake? anyhow?
That say harvester number 2 never is launched on Nut Lake.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions for Christine? If not, Christina, if not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agreement with Lake 14 Clear Water Alliance.
Move.
Moved by Brandon, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried.
I also have some signatures. Would you like me to catch up or right now? Okay.
Pass this down to Dave. Thank you, Christina. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Panda with a Tribal Justice Support Grant.
Good morning, Panda.
Good morning. I have a request for approval for project coordinator contract. The project coordinator will be working under our WIOA Tribal Justice Support Grant, and the project coordinator will be planning and organizing judicial training that is scheduled to be on August 29th and 30th of this year.
Is this for human services staff then? Or,
Let's see. Yes.
okay.
We will be inviting, let's see here. It is tribal, state, and tribal program staff.
Oh, good.
It's a judicial training where we will be coordinating with the consultant attorney that is doing consultant work with one of our other grants
Okay.
on VAWA. I've attached a training agenda
Very nice.
from the project coordinator will end up planning and contacting all people who will be attending.
Okay.
So,
Looks like a good training, very good.
yes, it's, the first day, it kind of focuses on certain topic areas of VAWA, and then the second day, it focuses on the attendees and participants in breakout sessions. So we'll be able to gather information and their feedback on the information and the work that we've done so far with VAWA. So,
Good job, Panda.
Will the coordinator be on longer than that, or?
The contract is for the project coordinator to work and organize certain goals up until September. For reporting purposes, if she needs to provide any more information, then there's that option to do so. But it would have to be approved with both parties,
Okay.
so.
This looks really good, and it's open up to all the MCT tribes and
Yes, yeah,
judges and, yep, good,
judges,
prosecutors,
prosecutors, and attorneys.
nice.
This training that we have scheduled, this is one of the first trainings that have been scheduled and organized within the state of Minnesota, so.
Congratulations, great job. If no other questions for Panda, I'll call for a motion to approve the contract for the project coordinator.
I have
Go ahead.
one question, or maybe a clarification in regard to the statement of work.
Okay,
And that first paragraph that I think I think it's included, but it doesn't say anything about Indian Point. And I'm sure that's included as part of Bois Forte, or part of Net Lake, but it's not contiguous to the reservation. And it says that it consists of 3 parts, one at Net Lake, one near Tower on Lake Vermilion, and one uninhabited Deer Creek sector in Itasca County. But it doesn't mention Indian Point. I think the assumption is that Indian Point is included in the Net Lake, but I would think maybe for clarification's sake, we maybe
yeah,
in the future include that, and maybe that could be considered in all of our grants, if they have that language and we name the areas we're working in, that they include Indian Point.
Okay,
yeah,
So-
okay.
Thank you.
okay. With Ray's comment there and Panda adding that into the contract, we'll call for a motion to approve the contract with that change.
Move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried, great job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Next, we have Billy with a number of grant applications.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Good morning.
Good morning, Billy.
First is the continuation state grant in the amount of $88,896
For the Head Start
for
program.
Head Start. Yes.
Any questions on the grant? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the FY 2019 Minnesota Head Start Grant application.
Move.
Moved by Brandon, is there a second? Seconded by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Next is the continuation for the federal early Head Start grant in the amount of $450,062.
Okay, if no questions for Billy, I'll call for the approval of the 2019 Head Start grant application for the federal program. Moved by Ray. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Next is it's a new grant, new granting period. We already received these grants, but it's new granting period. This is the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. It's a 4-year grant. This is the Supplemental Youth Services portion in the amount of $8,555. Out of this, we fund 2 summer youth workers, and there's some money in it to budget some money in it to do a career fair that we've been talking about with the workforce development group that we've been working with, so.
No questions for Billy. I'll call for a motion to approve the supplemental youth services grant application for WIA. Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
The next one is also a new 4-year granting period for comprehensive services adult in the amount of $17,730. In here is for, in year 1, I proposed to, based on the conversations on the workforce development group, we had identified the need for more childcare. So I wrote in here training for one in Net Lake, one in Vermilion for home childcare business. So they'd get their training and licensure, and then money also to help with a career, like a Bois Forte career fair, and then also regular supplemental services for participants, for driver's license and such.
So this one would be like having someone go into their own business for childcare?
Yes.
For one in that lake?
Home-based, yeah, home-based.
Home base, they go right into the
Yeah.
home then and,
They do it out of
Like a
their home.
daycare center
oh,
at the home,
okay.
right? Like a daycare at the home?
Yeah, but then they'd be responsible then for finding their own business,
Yeah.
money for the business to start up, but we'd help them at least get their licensure.
Good. That's a big need, and that's a huge cost for parents, but it's a big hindrance when you can't find childcare.
So they could do it in the home and take in other children?
Yeah, yeah. But they have to be licensed by the state.
And this is what helps them get licensed.
Yes, yes.
Good idea. Good job. I'll move to approve.
Move to approve made by Ray. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good job, Billy. Thank you.
Next, we have Kim Greiner.
Good morning, Kim. Good morning.
The first thing I have on the agenda is an idea that we had emailed the council about, probably about 2 months ago, and we've been working on it. So I also have something else to pass out with that I didn't have ready when I turned it in. This is just a list of the new grants and programs that we've set up for, within the last year.
One page.
And it's
Just one page, yeah. It's just for reference for you to see that, how things have been changing. So, the staff in the accounting department is seasoned. And,
Nice terminology.
yeah, and within the next, over the next couple of years, we're gonna have a lot of people retiring and turnover. And in an effort to get people, band members into positions, and prepared kind of a succession plan, this is what we came up with. And there's a few questions I don't have answered, but basically, what the ones that we want to start with are the program accountants. Those are the ones that work with the individual programs and does the reporting and stuff. And they need, and their job requirement is a 4-year accounting degree. After this last go-round, we didn't have anyone with a 4-year accounting degree. That was a band member that applied, so we are thinking that if we took someone who's in a 2-year program and had some requirements out of it, and they become basically a trainee, because I have the job description of the program accountant attached, they'd be a trainee and they would shadow a current program accountant, because our first program accountant is gonna be retiring in about probably 15 to 18 months. And it takes a year to see the full accounting cycle. And so this would, they would shadow, and we'd really ideally like 2 people to do this. One, because we need to start training the people, and the second one is because of the increased number of programs. And so, I have a narrative kind of our ideas. So they would have the same job description. They would have a slightly, I have put in there the rate that we would be suggesting compared to, you know, a person who had full qualifications. We'd be willing to work with the college to set up an intern program, so they get credits, some for their degree. You know, upon retirement of the current employee, the trainee would then move into their position. And then they have certain, you know, at certain levels, so at a completion of a 2-year degree, they would get a small increase of, at a 3-year, after they complete 3 years of the 4-year program, they would get a small increase, and then 4 years, they'd get another increase, and that would put them, then they have the full qualifications as of experience and schooling, and they would be in the range of the program job. But the key is to get people trained, because if something happens and we lose, it'll put kind of it'll slow down already getting stuff done on a timely basis. And then on the trainee side, they must be, either have a 2-year degree in accounting or currently working on their 2nd year of accounting degree. They need to agree to complete their 2-year degree within so much time. That's kind of how we kind of left it blank, you know, and to continue to pursue their 4-year degree. So what I'd like from the council is approval to move forward and post for 2 trainees, and then we could work out the final details while the posting's open, because it'll be probably 4 to 6 week time frame.
So Kim, if this position was posted, it'd be posted as a program accountant trainee,
Yep.
correct? Okay.
Question. Would we have to make some adjustments to the personnel policy before we implement this? No? So based on us approving it, would automatically be okay with?
Yeah, with the, even with the transfer policy that you just approved at the last meeting,
Yeah,
this would fall in line with that.
okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking, it might be like the transfer policy. I just gotta point out one thing that's kind of confusing me, is identifying that number 4 of the employer agrees section, and number 1 in the trainee requirement agrees.
Yeah.
And it says, steps in which wage increases as a trainee complete the identified goals. So it says completion of a 2-year degree, they start at $17 an hour?
That's what I suggested, they started at 17, and then I see what you're saying, but,
Yeah, and then in.
maybe
yeah,
at,
Yeah,
you know,
number 1 in the next section, it says, must have at least a 2-year degree in accounting or currently working on the
Yeah.
2nd year. So if if they start at 17 because they're
yeah.
not completed the 2nd, then do they, or
Well,
they go
that's-
from there?
There's some details that we still have to work out.
Okay.
I mean, because by the time we get it posted, interview and stuff.
Okay, I just point that
Yeah.
out so it doesn't
Yeah.
get overlooked.
there's a little bit of more work to be done on it, but, and if we need to take it back and fix some stuff before we post, you know, the two, but I just wanted to get it out there that we're working on this. And, because I think I know of probably at least 4 people that probably could fall into this category if they were interested.
That are currently working within the tribal government
Yep.
system, Kim?
I think it's a smart way to go. Get people ready to take over technical positions. I think it's very good.
I really like the idea of succession, training, and this gives band members an opportunity to, if they've already started working on their degrees, to actually get some hands-on ability to get into those positions, plus get training, on-site training by those program accountants to know how to operate, because each federal program is different, and this would be a very good idea, and I think more departments really need to look at succession within their own units, as we do know we have an aging a seasoned population in our workforce right now, so I like the idea of having training positions or trainee positions where somebody can earn maybe more what they're earning now and still be able to go to school now and get the hands-on mentorship, basically, is kind of what I'm getting
Yeah.
at, so.
It seems almost similar to what Head Start and early childhood do, right, Billy? That you get steps, they get,
With your teaching
they've got to
positions?
get so much, certain level of education, and they reach a salary level, and as they get more, they go up, so it's very, I think it's,
Yeah.
so Head Start and early childhood are kind of doing the same thing.
We have the
Too good.
maintenance staff does that too.
Maintenance does?
Level 1, 2, and 3, as they gain more in their
Yeah.
licensing and certifications.
I
Good.
think it's a good idea, Kim. I don't know, do you
Is it-
want the council just to approve you going forward with this? and
Yeah, I mean, I
working
do
on
have to
some-
do some more work with Miranda and get some,
You asked
Grades in there.
you asked some questions too on the bottom, it starts,
Yeah.
other items, does there need to be a written agreement? I'd say yes. Doesn't hurt to have a written agreement and get some commitment from them. Yeah, you definitely need an evaluation form as they're progressing, so that'd be yes.
yeah.
3, you crossed out. 4, should I ask possible candidates what they would like to see in a program as such?
And I did talk to a few that I knew, and they didn't have much input after they read through, you know. Just trying to get the other side perspective a little bit.
Yep.
I like
Yeah,
it, I
I
like
think it's
it.
a very good idea. Good move forward to help with the planning for the future. We've got a short future there for some of your employees with retirement, so. Can we have a motion to approve Kim moving forward with her training positions in accounting? How many positions are you looking at, 2?
I would like to get 2.
Okay.
And the other thing is that they would be paid for out of the indirect cost pool.
Okay.
So the funds are there to do it.
Yeah, we have it in the pool, because that's what they would be doing, that's where the
Indirect
positions are
costs.
paid for.
So we don't need to modify the budget or anything.
Okay. Motion to approve the training positions in accounting, 2? Or as needed, I guess.
I'll move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Okay,
The next item is just a motion to close a checking account. It was the old Nelson Act, checking account when we had the settlements and stuff, but we've allocated all that money, so I would just like to close it out.
Motion to approve closing of the Nelson Act checking account.
Move.
Moved by Ray. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
The last item I have is the approval of the indirect cost proposal. This is what I would send into, it's the Department of Interior Internal Business Center to start negotiating the 2018 fiscal year indirect cost rate. When we did our budgets for 2018, we had used 21%. After I got all the information in and stuff, the proposed rate to, we're submitting for is 20.73%. It will not come back at this. There'll be some little changes here or there. It slightly varies. And our 2017 rate was 20.35%.
20.35?
Yes.
This is just the rate, it ain't what's in it, right?
It has what's in there. You have to do all that if you, looking at the pages, I have numbered them on the bottom. So if you go to, I'm looking for the right page to start with,
So this is what's gonna be approved in indirect?
yeah. That would be on page, it's called the proposed pool. It's exhibit E2, and it starts on page 60 and 61. And if you, because you have to reconcile 2016, so to get a carry forward rate to do 2018's budget, so page 58 and 59 are 2016's actual costs we had in the, what's called the pool, and this 60 and 61 is the proposed.
And like you said, Kim, this can go a little up or down as it's negotiating to with the Office of Inspector General.
Yep. It's called the Internal Business Center. It's part of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and that's who we negotiate our rate with. I have a brief narrative on page 1, and so it says, the proposed budget for the indirect cost pool has decreased from the 2017, which wasn't, not in here, by $349,304 due to staff turnover, salary freezes, and vacant positions. The proposed direct cost base, that's what you put it over, is for 2018 is $19,441,073, which is also a decrease over the, by $1,045,518 over the proposed 2017 base. What we apply for is called the fixed rate carry forward, and so when we reconcile the 2016 budget, I'm looking to see which page that's on. there's a carryover factored if you over or undercharged in 16. So we had undercharged, you know, by our estimated, you know, our proposed rate. And so there's a carry forward that brings it, the rate slightly up. Otherwise, it would have probably been at least equal or less than this year's, but that's because in 16, we hadn't collected enough. And the amount in the, budget, you know, in the page, the proposed pool is, basically what we had in the amount in our budget process that we did last September, October. And then all the documents are, you know, it's the complete package that would go into, to the, Internal Business Center. It has all the support documents and the audit and some specific general ledger printouts that they asked for and costs.
Questions for Kim? No questions for Kim? You have a question, questions, Brandon?
I guess, you know, I think that's, one of the things, maybe for, next year, hopefully, is, going into more detail on, indirect cost and what's in there, and all the expenses. There's a lot of good things in there, but there's some that, I don't agree with, and I just think that, we need a little more time to sit down and sort through what all goes in into the indirect cost pool. And, that's, you know, that's all I can say. And, I'll be voting against it just based on some of the things that are always in there, so. but maybe for next year, we break it down sooner.
Just for the people that kind of don't know a lot about indirect costs, it is a complicated process, but the indirect cost does take care of the executive direction department, which is the tribal council, executive director, the two directors at the urban offices, the executive secretary. It does take care of the accounting department, which has which just goes from the chief financial officer to all the accountants, and then it goes to IT department and human resources department, the HR department, community development and planning, and supportive services, which is like our secretarial staff, receptionist, and also our maintenance staff. Those are positions that are funded out of the indirect cost pool. And I know that there are, it's very complicated, but I agree with Brandon that maybe having the time to sit down and actually get educated on what the indirect cost pool is. And there are certain gray areas, construction costs and patient care costs, for example, are not charged indirect cost, but travel, supplies, all of that is charged indirect cost. So it's basically to run the government and supportive services. But with that, we should have more of an educational session at some point. So that, I'll call for a motion to approve the FY 2018 indirect cost proposal.
Move.
By Ray, is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna go opposed, and like I said, there's a lot of good things in there. It's just kind of how it's been utilized in the past, and I'll be against.
Silent. One against. Silent. Motion carried. Thanks, Kim. Good job.
Thanks, Kim. Next we have Sidra with a request for change in New Moon bylaws for the amount it takes for a quorum.
Good morning, Sidra.
Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone. So what I have today is a request to change the new, change one thing in our New Moon bylaws. Right now, they state that we are governed by 7-person board of directors, and that our quorum is at least 50% of the board members for business transactions to take place. We have historically been having a difficult time having 50% of our board members attend in attendance at our meetings, and therefore have a difficult time conducting business at our meetings. So what we would like to present is that our quorum be moved from a requirement of 5 individuals down to 3, so that we can conduct business on a more regular basis.
And this was approved by the board?
Yes, this was requested by the board, and it was actually brought forth at one of the last meetings where we did actually have a quorum.
Okay.
So we did wait. It has been being discussed for several months, but we did wait until we had a quorum there to be able to vote on that, and then vote to bring it to the council for you to approve it.
I'm very aware.
Yep, Ray's
Aware of
very
the problem, because I'm the council representative on the board as in an advisee position. I don't vote. But there is a struggle to get a quorum, and I did check the legalities. I don't know if you checked with our legal counsel, but I did.
Okay.
And it's well within our authority to change that number of board members. So I would recommend the 5, and then the quorum would be 3.
Correct.
And then the 4 officers, I think we would just combine the secretary treasurer, which is done in a lot of, board situations.
Sure.
So I think it's a good thing, because I've been there when we've talked about things and the committee hasn't had the ability to vote on issues.
Right.
So they get discussed but tabled until a quorum shows up, and it's hard to do.
And oftentimes, things that we need to act on are resident issues. So
Yeah.
we have to table those or not even table them, we just can't even act on them, so.
Yeah, it slows
So
down,
residents are-
the
are-
process. and
Yep.
So I'd like a motion, but I'm not gonna make the motion because
Yeah, you're on.
I'm on the advisory board, but I recommend that we do.
Call for a motion to approve the request change in new moon bylaws with the quorum of 3 board members of 5,
From 5 to 3.
from 5 to 3.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second? Seconded by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Miigwech.
Thank you, Sidra.
Next, we have Donna with the I Falls Annual Program Field Trip. Need approval for the expenditures.
Good morning, Donna.
Handing out the expenditure. This I know they've been doing for the last number of years.
So before you, you have 2 requisitions, one for Mystic Lake Casino Hotel in amount of $10,437.06. And then the Voyager Charter Coach for $4,290. And this is funds that is paid out of the International Falls Prevention Program through DHS.
Do you know, Donna, offhand, how many students will be attending?
There's room hotel for 60,
Nice.
and then 4 rooms for drivers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's money well spent. It's an incentive for the kids there to participate in this, and they work for it, and so it's really a strong component of the program. They've got a lot of participation in International Falls on this. So if you want a motion, I will make it.
All right, motion to approve the I Falls field trip to Mystic Lake. Expenditures and the bus expenditures.
And they're not going down there to Mystic Lake
No,
to
they're not going,
gamble.
they're going to the cities.
They're going to, they're going to be doing several things like visiting museums and I think
Yeah.
Valley Fair and stuff like that.
So motion to
Reward for the
approve the
kids.
expenditures
Yeah.
for the field trip.
And the expenditures are covered by the program and budgeted.
International Falls Prevention Grant.
Yes.
Seconded by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Donna.
Next, we have Bill Vitale with the MOU with Polymet.
Good morning, Bill. Oh,
This is a MOU, memorandum of understanding with Polymet Corporation to hire for just a couple of days, actually reimburse an elder to monitor the archaeological work that's being conducted on a trail segment, historic trail segment that lies within the Polymet, proposed Polymet mine. Archaeologists are out there, or will be out there this week, looking at the the old trail, trying to map it. We have old maps showing its location. We don't have modern knowledge of where that trail is still extant. And we had asked Polymet if, when they funded that archaeological work, that we also include, also be included a band member to accompany the archaeologists. It's just for a couple of days, apparently. This is it's a very small contract. It's probably gonna be under $1,500 in total. Includes $45 an hour for that individual as a stipend, and then mileage to and from the Polymet mine. Anyhow, asking for tribal approval, tribal RTC approval.
And that's only up to 40 hours.
Yes.
Okay,
They
you get-
probably, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we gotta clarify that it's that hourly rate for only up to 40 hours,
That's
which
up to
is
40 hours.
1 week, because somehow that'll get misconstrued.
I think, well, the individual I've spoken to, the elder I've spoken to about this, he's aware of the timing. It shouldn't take them, from what I understand, the archaeologists don't anticipate more than 2, at most 3 days work.
I see it's for upland portions of Beaver Bay to Lake Vermilion Trail Corridor.
That is correct.
About how far is that?
Well, it
Just
depends.
estimated.
70, 80 miles.
It's about 80 miles.
Wow.
The original corridor was about 80 miles. And portions of it, of course, are now under parts of some of the mines in the area.
Okay.
They've also are under some of the roads and such, so there are only remnants of that trail left. And portions of it are shown on maps, and we have found part of that in the Polymet mine area. But we also requested that it be done a much more extensive survey for that remnant.
And Mark drafted this MOU, correct, Bill?
Mark did look at this. This is, was not the first, this is not the first MOU.
Okay.
Do we have somebody selected already? for
Yes,
this?
I've asked Moots.
Oh, Moose,
Yeah.
okay.
I asked, he said, sure, I'd love to go out. I told him about ticks. He said he knows a little about ticks.
Okay.
If no other questions for Bill, I'll call for a motion to approve the MOU with Polymet.
Move.
Moved by Brandon, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks,
Good
Bill.
job.
Nothing else on the agenda?
Call for a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Did I do okay,
Thank you,
Ed?
everybody, for coming.
I do